Hello, guys. Welcome back to Dreams Journal Podcast, Episode 5. Today, we have a special guest. We have a whole entire team, Arcane Arts. But first, let's introduce our co-host. So, MC.
Hey, everyone. How's it going? I feel like it's a good time to be a dreamer. It's like, I think this is the beginning, the explosion. That's what we're all hoping for. So, it's going to be great, Bob.
Wishy.
Hi, what's up? What's up, everybody? It's me.
Josh.
Howdy, hey, everybody. How's your day going? Mine's going.
And I'm Zebra, Dylan, whatever you call me. And when we also have Arcane Arts today. So, Poker, take it away.
Yeah, we're part of Arcane Arts. We have quite a big team, but I'm Poker Jer. I'm creative director on the project, basically the guy that kind of started to put everybody together, but more or less one of the programmers on the project. And yeah, I got a history dating back from like Little Big Planet where I messed around a little bit, but nothing like Dreams. So, and really happy to be here.
My name is Psychodad. I'm the lead animator. I've been working mainly on the animations, the main character and the golem.
Hi, I'm Deej Modine. I'm a programmer on Arcane Arts.
Okay, yeah, I'm Tristan. I've been working on pseudo video games since LVP1, LVP2, LVP3. My role in the Arcane Arts project is animator. I animate along with Psycho. Basically, what I do is I do a rough draft of the animation and revise them, polish them. Spend a lot more time with yeah.
And I am Keld Bjones, a crazy person who has been streaming Dreams full-time since April, and the voice of Morpheus.
Welcome.
Oh, man.
Good to be here.
So, I have a few housekeeping items. So, we are going to actually start live streaming soon, the podcast. Don't expect it in like a few weeks, but expect it like in a month or so. And then we are going to hopefully be on Spotify soon. So, MC, do you have anything to say about that? You might know more.
Yeah, we're gonna get everything on Google, Apple, the whole 9 yards.
Yep. And then next week I will be gone, but my man Wishy is going to take over the podcast by himself. Yep. So
Can't wait.
Gonna drive it
it's
into
going to
the
be a fun
ground.
podcast. I will not be here, but it's going to be great. But with that being said, what dreams have we been playing this week? For me, I have not been playing as I have been creating Dreamteller for about the past week. Probably spent around 25 hours working on that. I played a few games, but not that many. How about you, MC?
Yeah, same story as you. I've been so close to finishing my game for like weeks now, it seems. And I finally tied the last bit of the dream together. Feels good. It was an emotional moment yesterday. Totally. Yeah, I haven't been playing much, just creating for way too long.
Oh my lord.
Hi, Puppy.
Which stream is
We invited
that?
DMX.
Wishy, what have you?
I've been playing pretty much nothing. I've just been really focused on creating and trying to get some new projects underway that I'm not sure about too yet.
Nice. And then Josh, what have you been playing, bud?
I've been doing two things. I've been learning how to use the music creation because, while it's very similar to ones outside, it's very different. And then I've just been playing through the trending games, which I kind of regret, but I also don't. It kind of all blends together.
Yeah.
They're all very weird. Some of them are good.
And then Poker, what have you been playing?
Yeah, same kind of story as you guys have been really getting into turning what we had into our demo into a full game. So we've been kind of doing a lot of stuff outside of Dreams. But I did have a chance to play, I think it's called Unsatisfying Dream. I thought that was pretty funny, just because
yeah.
like any art, it gave a feeling, whether that feeling's annoyance or irritation. But I liked it a lot, actually. Simple but cool.
Psycho, what have you been playing?
I'm really not up to date with everything going on in the community because I'm so focused. But today I've checked out the Dreamtime. It's pretty cool. That's about it.
Deej, what have you been playing, bud?
Not a whole lot. I've been creating my own little dream the past week, like you guys. But I've had a chance to play games like Damned and Art Therapy. That was an awesome game. I've also been trying to look out for some more obscure, like newer games, and I found one game called German Guy in Your Controller.
Oh, it's so fun.
Yes.
And it's pretty awesome. That and Unsatisfying Dreams pretty awesome too.
And then Tristan?
Yeah, like you guys, I've been doing a lot more creating than I games. But last thing I do remember playing that was noteworthy was that Fallout level that everybody's been talking about.
Oh yeah.
It's a good
Yeah,
one.
that thing is amazing.
He's been doing a lot, huh? Sounds very interesting. Thank
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to try out that German Guy in the controller game though.
It is a blast. It is a interesting concept brought to life for sure. And then Kelby Jones, what have you been playing, bud?
I think the favorite thing that I've played since release is the Missing Constellation. Have you guys seen that one with the
Oh
piano?
yes,
Yeah.
that one.
Yes.
Yeah, you've got the piano on your back. You're like a motorcycle Daft Punk. I don't know what, Warlock from Destiny character, and you just go around to these lit up points, and everyone that you hit, you can fly a little more, and it's so much fun. I feel like I could play that 12 more times, even though it's only 10 minutes long. It's just such a nice experience.
That was beautiful
Mhm.
too.
Yeah, that
It
dream
looks
is
amazing.
awesome.
It's
Yeah, the
very
art is incredible, and the frame rate is good.
Yeah.
Do you think it's an open world? Would you classify it as that?
I
I would, yeah.
mean, yeah. I mean, it's pretty big, isn't it? I mean, I've not played it like all the way through. Like I played it up until I got to the first like musical thing in the open world, or like in the like actual game. But I need to go play it because it's definitely something interesting for
Yeah.
sure.
Looks nice.
But because Arcane Arts is here today, we're gonna ask them a lot of questions. So get ready to listen to all their answers. The first question I want to ask is, what did you think about the reception from the beta? So like when like y'all like released the game, well, what did y'all think of the reception?
So the reception was incredible. So the time that we actually released it was, well, we had done our trailer during the end of early access, and we wanted to time the release of the game, I guess, with the release of Dreams. What we didn't anticipate, though, was Media Molecule releasing it to the early access group on the exact day we planned to release the game. And with that was going to come this giant patch that had the potential of breaking the game. So we sort of had to do a mini dev crunch in the last week and sort of get in there and try to get it done. But
Yeah.
when we did release it, it took a couple days, but then the reception was huge. Once people started to play it, it sort of skyrocketed. And then because of the timing, because a bunch of new dreamers got the game at full release, it was ready in there to play. And most people, the first, reaction is to go in and play things. So we went in, played it, and the reception was huge. And we got a ton of immediate feedback on like things that, some stuff we noticed, some stuff we knew we had to work on still, but other stuff was just, things we were doing right, things we could do better, things that people wanted or noticed. It's like the best way you can get immediate feedback and bug reporting or, all that kind of stuff. So it's great. The community was like instrumental in what's going to form the full game for it. So
Nice. What can we expect from the like actual full release of the game? Like, can we expect like more worlds, more enemies?
absolutely. So we have a fully kind of fleshed out story. I'm going to call it an outline. Actually, we're going to have somebody come in and write the story. It's actually Mix Topher over on Mixer took up that job. But basically, he's going to be writing the story behind it, or at least the script behind it. But we do have a story and a concept of the game, and sort of the character is going to go into several different realms with several different themes, sort of based on what goes on in like a person's dreams and sort of the entities behind that. We don't want to give too much away, but basically we're sticking with the sort of, the nods to dreaming and dreams and that kind of stuff. That's why we kind of chose this project to begin with, because it had sort of almost like a meta feel to it, like it had some nods to the actual game, and thought that was a kind of fun project to practice collaborating on. So
Yeah. You mentioned story. What is the story for Project Ikelos?
What
Like
is the which, sir?
overall, what is the story for Project Ikelos? Who what is like the broad story?
Yeah, like the elevator pitch or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
of the story.
So like essentially your protagonist is going to be like a silent protagonist. He could be sort of anybody that happens to wake up and inside what would be like a dream realm or a realm where like you go when you fall asleep. There's been sort of like turmoil going on, and you're awoken into this dream world sort of without any kind of knowledge of why you're there, what you're doing there, or anything like that. And you're granted or given sort of like an amulet or a pendant or something from a character we call Lucidia, and she's the one talking in the demo, and basically gives you the ability to be lucid in this dream world. So basically, be aware that you're dreaming, and she sort of informs you that there's some dire consequences, and you're kind of the only one that's aware, sort of thing. And then with her guidance, you kind of go through the game and have to travel to certain other realms for other reasons to break out, to basically go after the people that are trapping everybody else in this realm, essentially.
Yeah, I like that nod. I like that nod to the dreams theme. That's something I really liked about Art's Dream.
Yeah, I really like it. I think we're going to kind of try to play along that quite a bit. And like sort of that's how our concept for our combat sort of came into be too, is like sort of instead of just having your typical like guy with weapon or whatever, we're sort of having envisioning the character sort of in this dream. And when you're lucid in a dream, you can kind of pull from your imagination and do some kind of crazy stuff. So he's like pulling these weapons from thin air, and sometimes it's a sword, sometimes it's a hammer, that kind of thing. So that's the inspiration behind it, at least.
This question is for Kelby Jones. So you are the voice actor of the main character, right?
I believe it's the main villain.
Yeah. So what can you tell us about the main villain?
Oh boy, that'd probably be a better question for the writer.
Yeah,
I could tell you. I could tell you about voicing the main villain.
Yeah.
Oh, quick! Think of a good story. Let's see. I don't want to step on any other questions you have, but now see, I should have thought about this stuff before.
Oh no, you're fine.
Okay, so the picture I got, like from reading the documents, was almost it was big, it was evil, but then there's almost sort of a swagger, like just a hint of yeah, you can't touch me, and I know it. And yeah, so I tried to imagine, like as I was recording it, I tried to imagine that I was walking and looking down at the protagonist of the story, and that if I wanted to, I could just flick him off the cliff. But instead, I'm gonna let him be for now.
Okay.
It's a great way of describing it, actually.
I got another question for you guys. So I was really curious about so would you consider yourself a dream studio? I guess I'll answer that one first.
Yeah, well, that was our intent. This whole kind of project, it wasn't like we had an idea for a game and then we got people together that wanted to make this game. It was more we had an idea to put together a studio and see what that would be like in dreams, and sort of do what Media Molecule was pitching to everybody, saying that they hope that little mini dev studios come into fruition and kind of make games in that together. And we're like, well, why don't we try? Well, let's see what that entails, kind of thing. So after meeting a few people in the beta and early access and that kind of stuff, we started to kind of get together and just try to we wanted to grab talents from different fields in dreams, right? Like people that are good with music, people that are good with animations, because it's very difficult, as everybody knows, to be good at everything in dreams. It's just far too deep. So basically we'd look around for people that are talented in this area, that area, and sort of play off each other. And surprisingly, I mean, you go around the Dreamiverse and what do you see? You see amazing sculptures that have no animation or programming, or you'll go and see amazing animations with just basic puppets, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you approach those people and you'd be like, hey, do you want, to bring your sculpture to life, or do you want that animation to be animating a full realized character, right? And of course they do, right? It's amazing working alone, but it's sort of like when you work together, you got like a much bigger sum of all parts kind of thing. So it started with that, with basically like the idea of like, let's see if like, working with an animator and a programmer on a cool character would work. And we had everybody on the team kind of pitch, and at the time it was rather large. We didn't anticipate that many people actually wanting to jump on board with it, and that many extremely talented people. So we sort of got into a point where it was like, oh, we can do something special here if we actually focus our attention, actually try. So I think we had 15 pitches in one meeting where everybody basically used Dreams and quickly pulled assets off the community and sort of recorded little game pitches for games that they thought should be the first game we make as a team. And Ikelos was just one of those games. So it wasn't even like a complete, like, this is the project we're going to make. We wanted the inception of the team first, and then the game to come after and have it be a group discussion and decisions.
Well, any of those other ideas, are they ever going to end up being released eventually?
Absolutely. Well, it's not like absolutely they'll be made, but like every single idea was saved, and a lot of them were very like not even they were just necessarily like full game ideas. Like Deej, for instance. Go ahead. What was your pitch again?
I just pitched for our game to have some form of QTEs in our game, just because at the time it was like early or in the beta. That's a thing I haven't really seen explored in Dreams yet, so I figured why not tackle that, see what it was like.
Yeah, I like the pitching the mechanic idea.
Yeah, and I think Rose, one of our Rose of Thorn, he's one of our really good character modelers. He plays a lot of games like Monster Hunter and that, and his pitch was simply just to have solid controls and solid gameplay where it felt good, like it felt good to play and not floaty, not loose, just clean. And so, we use those kind of pitches as inspiration in the story project that we picked, right? So it was sort of an amalgamation of some good ideas that could work together, right? And we
really
built it as a
out.
team.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, being able to see that you guys have like an actual proper studio, with people that actually like to work together is always good to see.
Well, part of it was getting people too that wanted to not only like make that, if your ideas are in it, then it's going to become more personal to you, and you're going to want to make that game, right? You're going to want to put your art into it because you're passionate about that thing. So if we have those things in the game, it didn't go perfect. We had a lot of people in the beginning, like we had, I think, about 20 or just over 20, and we're now down to, I think, 14, some part-time, some full-time. Real lives happen, creative differences happen, but it's more important to sort of focus on the, like, just the working together and how much you can grow. I think that was the big, like, there's not a day I don't go by working with these guys that I don't learn something myself, right? Because I do
there's
programming.
so much to learn too.
Yeah, like I do programming, but I'm working with Psycho when he's doing animations, and I'm learning all sorts of stuff about that. I can't nearly do what he does, but I at least understand what he does now, So that's kind of how it works.
Yeah, collaboration is definitely the final frontier in Dreams, and I think it's something they'll like continue to like support in the future. Maybe Molecule is, especially with the like in tandem creation that's coming with multiplayer.
Looking forward to that.
That's gonna be insane.
Yeah, for sure.
I do have another question about the studio. It's a more basic question. Where did you guys come up with the name? Because I'm very curious.
The name was, so literally the name was, we are not good at that. We're not good at naming things. We're not good at logos. We're not good writers. We're not good social media presence. Like there are certain things the team lacks for sure. And, we've sought out people that are good at that to, do that side of things. But yeah, we had a million suggestions in a sort of like a Discord channel. The Discord channel was, team name ideas, and it went on for a hell of a long time, and no one could agree on anything. And some of them were silly, some of them were amazing. It's so hard. And then sometimes they come up with a good one that was taken by everybody. It was very difficult. So when we settled on this one, it was just, it was the best sounding one at the time. It sort of fit what we were doing because, Arcane sort of has this magic connotation to it. So felt like what we were doing was kind of magic. We're all artists.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Follow-up
Very
question to that. Did y'all make y'all's logo inside Dreams?
Yeah, that was Spartan __ X53. He has already won a few community creations on his like his net in a museum.
Yeah.
Sculpts and that, but yeah, he same thing. We had a hell of a time deciding what our logo is going to look like. That was a good kind of loading screen, we thought. Whether or not we have a different logo in the future, that's left to be told. But as far as he thought, one day he's going to go in and use the paint tools and kind of make a cool logo for it. And yeah, we all liked it. It's great.
I kind of mentioned it earlier, but it's the most exciting that y'all have planned for like project future that we have not yet seen.
Well, it's just going to be. I mean, Psycho can tell you already. About the refinements and just the character alone. A lot of the feedback we got was based on the combat and some things, like I said, we already knew we needed to upgrade and fix and alter and that kind of stuff. But we've already made some amazing improvements with that. Things like the gameplay left to be seen. And like I said, I want to be careful not to spoil too much, but we have a ton of not only story elements, but sort of locations you're going to go to and sort of very cool stuff that's going to happen. That it's hard to describe because I don't want to give away too much, but at the same time, I want to say there's definitely a lot more coming. I was going to say we joke a lot because a lot of people make the comparison or the line to Dark Souls. They compare it to like a Souls-like in that, and that was actually never our intention.
I didn't quite get that feel, honestly.
No, it's just I get what they're saying. It's kind of the atmosphere stuff, but a lot of our locations and that kind of stuff, as you go, will sort of take away from that comparison, I believe, and you'll start seeing other things in there as well, and it'll kind of become it's more further in line with the original concept that it is. So I think that'll be kind of cool.
It's probably some of the combat too, because I know when people think of Dark Souls, they think of a lot of like attacking and then dodging, to wait for your attack, like timing, I guess.
Very true. I blame the golem for sure.
It seems like that's how people approach any game now, even if it's not designed to be that way.
Yeah, and we take it all as compliments. Like we're flattered by that comparison, but at the same time, it's like
it's a good game.
Yeah, and so, but we're going to take a lot of different paths and avenues that'll draw its own like sort of originality. So it'll be a little bit more, like I said, away from that realm, but also very in line with what we're doing.
It's going to become a
There's lots more
pinball
to come.
game.
Nice.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you say pinball game?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, so I just have a
That'll be a level.
more broad question, I guess, for everybody. And I'm very curious for each of the team members, like, what was your background prior to Dreams, if there was any at all?
I mean, I've already said mine. It's basically I came from Little Big Planet was my only game creation area that where I did anything sort of, and that sort of assisted in like the logic and programming side of things coming to Dreams, but that's it. I've done no kind of other creation software, nothing like that.
Nice.
Go ahead, Psycho.
Okay, so yeah, I have absolutely no background in any of that. And when I heard about Dreams, I just thought that it was a good way to visualize some dreams that I had. I can remember clearly, but when I got Dreams, I realized I couldn't do anything, and then I was, what am I gonna do? And then, but I have a background in martial arts, and I've been arts instructor for a couple of years. Not anymore. And I thought, you know what, I'm gonna use that, try and learn to do animation. Because I already know the forms, the fist forms, I could just focus on learning all the mechanics.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That's actually very unique.
And that's how I it was kind of like teaching the perfect student. And I just needed to get all the tricks to get the student to move the way I want him to move. And that's how I slowly.
Damn, that's a really cool way to do that.
Learned all the stuff.
I would never thought of it.
No, that's awesome.
Neat approach.
It's been a rough road because it wasn't well documented, and everything we needed to learn things because nobody knew. And if I had a question, I went to in Dreams feedbacks, and then I would ask it, and nobody could answer.
A lot of the early stuff you had to figure it out for yourself.
Definitely.
Yeah, especially with animation.
Everything was
gradually
impressive then.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, but that's it. So I think I just got lucky that I had martial arts back, and that was a good way for me to just completely focus on learning the
Nice.
tools.
Deej,
Psycho. I was
Deej,
just
how
gonna
did you
do.
get in? Oh yeah, sorry, Parker, go.
No, I was just gonna say because of his background, like Psycho is like no one on the team will disagree that he's the most meticulous and like perfectionist person when it comes to animations, but like in such a good way. Like if we didn't have his like eye for things that he sees like sort of quirks and twitches that none of us even would recognize at frames that is like inhuman. His background like assists in that, so it's like that's why everything is getting cleaned up the way it is because of his sort of.
You
Dream
gotta give
Savant
respect
over
to your
here.
animators.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Way to go, Psycho. Deej, what is your background before Dreams?
Well, in terms of games, no prior experience. Like, I didn't really play Little Big Planet that much, or I played the campaign, but not creation tools or whatever. My day job, I work as a web developer at a local firm here, and that's about all I have. I suppose it gives me a slight, advantage over learning the tools in Dreams, but again, it's like I'm translating lines of code into visual gadgets and wires and stuff. It's like it's still a challenge for me. Still learning.
Definitely. Tristan, what is your background?
Yeah, just like Poacher, I'm coming from LVP. I used to actually do animation in LVP 2, and I'm not sure if you guys remember how the animation tools worked in LVP 3, but it was a mess compared to what we have now, because you had a whole bunch of preset animations and you had to blend them together perfectly.
It was a nightmare.
It was a nightmare, man. You had possibly thousands of permutations of different unique animations, and you could cut one half of it and paste it with the other half, and create something that the developers didn't intend, or it was difficult. But Coming to Dreams was kind of amazing, because just seeing how free it was, seeing the fact that you could kind of just move limbs and body parts individually instead of doing all that craziness, it was great. So I kind of just fell into animations when I hopped on Dreams.
Yeah, we live in the golden days now.
And Kelby Jones, how have you been brought up before Dreams?
My background is more like audio video production. I've never done game development before. And yeah, so Dreams is my first exposure to that. On this team, I've done voice acting for Morpheus, and I produced the voiceover for the demo. That was by my friend Jen Burrow. And and so on this team, sorry, I'm losing my train of thought here. My background. Yeah, it's been a tiring week.
Wait, so did you ever do any kind of voice acting beforehand?
Yeah, that was what I was going to get to. Was to say that I have done voice acting, so I do have experience in that part, but not in game development.
Okay, I'm guessing that like streaming every single day too also helps out with like your like voice ability as well.
Oh yeah. I would say, streaming 5 days a week for 10 months has made my voice a lot stronger than it was before.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Keld's been.
No,
I was gonna say he's been awesome. He's been awesome for our team because he's he does have a really busy schedule, so it's super simple just to send him some lines of dialogue and he'll just record it and send the audio file to our audio wizard there, HackJazz, and he'll go and bring it into the game, and then we can program it and stuff like that. So it's a very easy kind of trade-off. So knowing he's very busy all the time in that, so it's kind of awesome the way that we work with him.
Yeah,
is he the one? Oh, go.
I was actually going to ask you about like workflows like that, because like since collaboration is like something that is such like an endeavor, like how do you handle the workflow of like who actually puts the stuff in the dreams, who makes the stuff that you put in the dreams, who puts it together, and like how do you organize that?
All right. Well, that went through a pretty big trial and error period. We didn't realize. So Dreams only allows you to have 10 collaborators on a single dream at any given time, or any sort like any level, I guess, or any scene.
Mhm.
So what that means is that if like we have 10 people working on something, but an 11th has to come in, we got to kind of trade someone in and out. So our initial sort of plan was to have these sort of almost departments set up inside of Dreams. So we'd have like an art department, a logic department, and the art department would fill, the art room with all their stuff. We'd move it into levels or move it into the programming department or what have you. That was our plan. That like doesn't work whatsoever.
That's
So
unfortunate.
yeah, it was kind of a good idea, but it didn't pan out. What we found was the most efficient way to do things was we use Discord as a team, which is great. Sort of split up the same way. We have art, logic, those kind of things broken up in departments, and basically you can communicate to any department that way and cross over. I run the Arcane sort of like PSN account as well as my own. I do creating with my own, but then I use the Arcane account to sort of have the one banner, so we're all under the same banner basically. But basically I'll create a level, and then in that level we'll have like for a character model, for instance, we'll have the art department put in a basic puppet that has been sort of stretched and conformed to the body type that we're going to use. So like for instance, like the golem was a big hulky looking dude, just a big gray Hulk, I guess is the way you could describe it. Not really detailed, just the right dimensions basically. So the art department put him into a level. Animators would come in and animate sort of all his poses. Then programmers come in and then sort of make it all work. And then animators and programs kind of programming work back and forth, sort of refining it and fine tuning everything and making it all happen. And then if we need like say like the golem has this big rock sliding kind of attack, the art department made like that rock wall and would throw it in there. I'm like, we need an attack that like looks like this, and they'll do the piece of that. We'll program it, so it's very like symbiotic, and everyone kind of has access to that space to do it. And then once we've done that, we'll be like, we need sound effects, so we'll put the audio guy in that level, and he'll sound effect it all. And we have like a version of the main character with the version of the enemy, so that like basically you can keep practice fighting him and get the sound effects right and everything like that, and then eventually transfer that into the level.
So with
So
all
it's
these different parts, how did you like get it all consistent, or at least decide how each aspect of it was going to come together?
well, basically like it just we're playing to the strengths of the system, right? So like everybody probably knows that you can't move animations from one puppet to another, right? So what we do then is we make one puppet with the animations and essentially reskin it. So if you think of like so we have a thrall, that like jumpy little dude in our demo, and then we have the golem. Well, those are two separate sort of sculpts, or two separate puppets. And then from those puppets, we'll be able to reskin them in the future and make different variations of them and different enemies based on that alone. And the programming all stays and the animations all stay. It just becomes kind of a reskin. So we're playing to strengths like that and sort of leaning into the way Dreams works, in the sense of like, how can we get the most out of each
Yeah, the
thing that we
thermo.
do? The thermo, as well as that's the other thing. That's another friggin' battle. It was figuring out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, what's the minimum amount of gameplay and graphics
Well,
percent?
the thermo is incredibly flexible, and when you deep diving into how Dreams works in that, you can get a lot out of that thermo. Like I know a lot of people are like, it needs to be more, it needs to be more. It really doesn't. Like you can do a ton with it. It's just about almost teaching everybody the best ways to approach it, because like the sculptors have to sculpt in a certain way that doesn't increase the thermo, and the programmers have to program in a certain way that's the most efficient. The animators have to use the fewest amount of keyframes, and we've all had to figure out the best ways that our individual departments can minimize on thermo. So we all kind of compromise to make the best, results. And that was like each person kind of like Rose of Thorn for the art department, Psycho for the animation department, me and Deej in the programming. We basically dove in there trying to figure out the best, most efficient ways we could reduce the usage on everything, every facet of Dreams, so that now when we can fit a lot into one chunk of a level, right?
Yeah, that
That
seems
is
like the biggest
so
obstacle to
cool.
overcome.
Oh my goodness, that's so cool.
Yeah, definitely. It was one thing to sort try to have each character like isolated and have it work the way you want, and it runs buttery smooth. But as soon as you like put them all into one scene, it's like a completely different story. There's a whole totally other like learning curve for us, for sure.
Yeah.
Nice.
If you guys are making characters and playtesting them, that like our playtest rooms were all sort of like bland and plain, right? But when you put them on into a world where there's texture on the ground or hills or that kind of stuff, the puppets respond in a completely different way you didn't anticipate, right? So all of your moves and everything like that you were so proud of all of a sudden become a little bit janky, and you're like, oh my god, what have we done?
Uh-huh.
You know.
So cool.
But that's basically how the workflow works, and we just became much more efficient with working together in that aspect. And share play was huge. When it went away a bit, that was annoying, but
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Right before the launch too.
Yeah.
Or the February 11th.
Yeah.
So, how long did it take you all to put together the demo?
So the demo itself, like what you see in what you play, that was actually all put together with the assets we made in about 2 weeks. But
It's like that.
the assets,
the
the assets
collage.
correct, and like also refining it and making them all work in the space and everything. So and that was cutting it close. Like I probably would have preferred more closer to a month. But the actual character models, I mean, there's hundreds of hours into each characters by several different people, and like all in all, I mean, a lot of it was sort of figuring out how to work as a team and sort of to motivate everybody, to get everybody on the same page, to be creating in the same way, to make all that workflow work. That took several months, but like when we finally got in the swing of things, it like each of those characters we can scroll back to, and I think it was July of last year where like the main character was made. No one was touching it yet, but it was made, sculpted, and ready to be kind of placed onto a puppet. But we've gone in and out of that since then, and a few hours here and there every day by different people. So it's a process. But that's also us learning the tools too, and learning how to make everything efficient. So we can be a lot faster now.
Yeah, now you can
Yeah.
understand the process.
Yeah, so now like we have another character variation that we're going to be making, a completely different puppet, and because we know now how to do it, it'll be like we could do it in a couple of weeks, and using existing logic we have and put it over, and we know how to do it now basically, but
More
it does take
streamlined.
time.
I want to see that system, the reskitting system. That sounds really cool.
Yeah, you need to make some videos of that, dude.
I know.
Yeah, we really want to do tutorials and sort of how-tos and that kind of stuff, because we're not the type to like squander any of the knowledge or anything like that. Like we want to show people how we do it so that the quality can go up in Dreams. It's just that it's very like we're not the most social media adept people, and actually sitting down to do tutorials and doing what people want to know and that kind of stuff is something we still got to get into. But
I feel like we need a collaboration tutorial, like exactly like you guys.
Yeah, just being able to set that up is really hard to do for most of us.
Yeah.
yeah, well, and it wasn't smooth. It was not smooth by any means. It's just we stuck to it, and like I said, we had good people to sort of like lift up those things when it was getting difficult. So like having people do amazing things, and this is why Discord worked really well for us. Is like we might be struggling to get the programming down or the animations down, and we're just going like, man, we can get this to work. And then the art department posts something that's absolutely gorgeous, like the level they're working in or the new sculpt for the boss that they have. And it invigorates you to want to do better in whatever you're doing to sort of match the quality of their art or match the quality of those animations or whatever. So it kind of lit a fire under each department, seeing what everybody was doing at any given time, at least for me. I don't know if that's the same for everybody, but
Oh no, that's the same for me.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I really liked your
Anytime
point
back.
about compromise earlier. I feel like that's huge, especially in terms of getting buy-in from everyone in the group, so they like feel invested in the project.
yeah, and you kind of have to, when you're working in a group, you have to understand that you're not making the game that you personally want to make, or making the project the thing that you
Welcome
want
to
to do.
game development.
Yeah, you're making decisions based on what's quote unquote best for the game or best for the current project. Like we could be exorbitantly gory with our game, but we chose not to for reasons because like, just appealing to a bigger market, or like,
Rated
you know,
TV.
yeah, or
Yeah.
somebody will come in with a great idea that none of us thought of, and then we'll try to implement and it doesn't work. Or someone will come in with an idea, and then someone comes up with a different one, and we go with that other one. Well, it's not a personal thing. It's more of like what's best for this particular project. And I think we've all kind of got a really good handle on the like understanding that's what we're doing. We're just making stuff better by picking the best decisions we can.
I wish more people had your mindset.
I know.
Our mindset though, like there's a lot of people like
Yeah.
I've worked with people that don't have that mindset. I get that exists for sure.
Like your collectively, all of you to combine, just have a much better workflow than plenty of others that have tried and failed at this point.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I've had many trial and failures. I like bringing groups together. It's challenging.
The problem is they just don't listen to the team.
Well, then that's the thing, and art, like artists in general, I mean, myself included, you put a lot of your soul and your passion into whatever you're doing. So, it feels, it's hard, like rejection in a way when you're putting something out there that gets not sort of utilized or whatever. Or if you do like a hunk of art that you're proud of, and someone says, I need that to look a little different, or that doesn't really fit, or whatever, like that's crushing to an artist, right? And so navigating those waters too are very important, and understanding that it's not a personal thing. Your art's still amazing, but it doesn't suit whatever we're doing, or it needs to be cohesive or what have you. And it's hard. Like that's not an easy thing. We all have communications about that. It's just about understanding where it's coming from and coming from the right places, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Taking criticism is a skill.
It really is. Yeah.
Word to the wise.
I think you mentioned it earlier, but what can you tell us about like the music inside Project Ikelos?
So the music is actually done by one dude that's Hack Jazz. He's an amazing creator. He's from France actually, and he I believe it's France. He's his music is not only is it incredible how he does it, but he was able to also like us had to restrict sort of the amount of instruments he uses any given sort of timeline so that he saves on thermo space. So he was able to take his craft kind of the next level. He does make instruments. A lot of the voices in the that you hear from like the thrall and the golem with the grunts and the moans and everything like that, that's his own voice that he's
That's all.
that he's turned.
Even the main character, yeah.
The golem's his actual voice. The main character is just a but yeah, so he makes all these voices into instruments and does like what Media Molecule intends with the tools. And then when it comes to programming it all, he's got this cool kind of like music. What do you call it, Deej? I forgot the name of it again.
Like a conductor.
Oh, conductor, yeah.
Sort of thing. Like some big microchip, yeah.
Yeah, microchip he calls a conductor, and it basically while you're playing, it sort of like will trigger based on like if you're fighting an enemy. It'll now turn on the part of the song, I guess, that gets more intense, and it blends seamlessly with his background music so that it doesn't sound like anything's coming away. It sort of is a very like, it's very like God of War, I guess, or whatever, where it sort of.
Yeah, that's
so
next
cool.
level. Very cool.
Oh my goodness. You have everything.
Well done.
I'm like blown away right now, honestly.
Yeah, since you can specialize like that, you have people who are experts who can give their all into this one thing. They'll make the game awesome.
Yeah, there's really I'm a huge advocate for just finding something in dreams that you enjoy doing, like what makes you happy to do. Like, do you like sculpting? Do you like painting? Do whatever, and then pair up with people if you can, or try to look for those opportunities to sort of like take your skill as far as you can, and then that'll be sort of like a wanted in the next like or needed in the next team, right? Like or the next group, because you can't do it all on your own, or you can. Some people are insane, like disarmed and that kind of stuff.
I think I just learned why my game is taking so long.
Yeah.
So going off of that, like, how would you recommend for like plenty of us out here to be able to like find people? Like if we specialize in one specific thing, how do we offer that to others without coming across as annoying?
Well, again, the way we do it is sort of old school, and again, not so conventional in the really slow way, I guess. But we actually recruited by kind of going out and just messaging people and saying, hey, I like what you do. Would you be interested in working on as a team? But again, we kind of, what I think I see a lot of is people saying, hey, I want to make this game. Will you help me? Instead of saying, hey, you have amazing skills. you want to get together, and
Yeah,
then we
build
can
something
decide on a
together.
game. Yeah, we can decide on a game together, because then it's both your project, right? Instead of saying make what I want, because maybe in the future you can do that, but I think it's more about getting together and getting that comfort level and working together kind of thing. I think that's the approach people should be taking. Or at least that's what worked for us. It's finding
good
people that just want
advice.
to work together.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like that being said, it's not like we if we're gonna make a full game here, like we are well aware of the time scale it's gonna take to do this now, right? Like it's not a quick thing. And so understanding that, like we are going to need to recruit as well. We're going to need to have, more hands will help it go faster, and we know we're going to have to teach people to use the thermometer in ways that they probably aren't used to, and how to sculpt in different ways and that kind of stuff, and finding those right people. So it's not like we're not looking for people either, right? It's just about finding those right people, or being approached by those people, or that kind of thing. So it's not, everybody is still looking, and you can never have enough people, I guess. It's more or less like, fitting that sort of mindset and not being so, I guess, willing to compromise, like you said earlier, willing to have these compromises and these discussions on, what's best for maybe the overall project instead of them personally.
You might dread this question, but when can we expect this game to fully come out?
Well,
Ouch.
I'll tell you what we learned from the demo was episodically is the way to go. because yeah, if we sat too long waiting to put out an entire game that was like, quote unquote never going to be done, like it was going to take us a year or so or whatever to finish the full game, and without that immediate community feedback and that sort of influx of like good response and people excited to see what you're doing, you don't have that motivation to continue, right? So
Yeah.
doing something episodically and dropping things, every couple months if possible or whatever. And we have little ideas for things to drop in between even those episodes. It's going to be nice because it's going to keep that fuel and that light kind of burning in the project. Originally, we didn't know if VR would be out at launch. We weren't sure what was going to bring with that kind of stuff. But originally, we were just going to make this demo. And like I said, we had a story for it all and ready to go, but we wanted to kind of see the reception and more or less have this be our pilot, like, hey, we can do stuff in dreams. Now the reception being that it was so good and like, please, let's do more of this. Of course, we're going to make a game with this. We're going to finish this game, but it's one of those, what do you call it? Like if you're going to, like we're not going to put a release date on it, but what we're going to do is we're going to say that it's going to come out in sections now, just so that we can get, more feedback, more exposure, more kind of like stuff out there in a timelier fashion, because it's fun for us to put it out there and watch people play the game and enjoy it, and that's where it's at. None of us are getting paid for this. None of us are, making money off it. We're just having fun watching people enjoy
Keep
it.
it fun.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, are you gonna build off of like the demo itself, or like start fresh in sections?
The demo itself was essentially like is our tutorial section of our game, like our starting point. Like we want to teach the player how to play, of course, and that kind of thing. That probably area will probably be reused. It's going to be in a completely different way. We don't want people to get used to, if it's exactly the same or the same.
Yeah.
It's we don't want to repeat that, and also like we want people to be able to skip the dialogue if they know how to play and all that kind of stuff. It'll be different dialogue as well. That was my quick attempt at throwing in some lines, but we're gonna have a proper writer. But yeah, like we want it to be able to, like that space we can reuse as a quick way for you to teach the player and then move on to other things. But it'll be a couple minute thing instead of a 10-minute deal.
Nice. I know you mentioned about like not getting paid, but have you ever thought of like starting a like Patreon for like the team? I mean, I feel like people would definitely support that Patreon if you ever made one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What's a Patreon? No. I know I'm so bad at social media stuff, and that's definitely something like, so we just picked up somebody that has a better knowledge in social media type stuff and that kind of thing. Again, like this is what's interesting about Dreams is you don't necessarily have to be good in Dreams to find a part on a team. You could be a writer. Say you can't sculpt or do anything, you could be a good writer. You could be great at streaming and advertising, that kind of stuff. Like that's all necessary when you're making a quote unquote mini dev team. So we don't have a community manager. you know. So you know, like I said, but we know that part's
Just
lacking.
borrow Tom
so.
Dent.
So you then just start messaging people. Then?
Exactly. Like I call myself the quote unquote creative director, but it's a team, right? We're all working as a team. Anything outside of Dreams pulls me away from being able to program, which is what I enjoy doing and what is like, you know, what I do in Dreams. So if I'm doing, you know, like if I'm speaking to somebody outside about script revisions, or if I'm speaking, you know, doing things outside of Dreams, or working on the Discord and running that sort of thing, it takes you away from actually being in Dreams and doing that job. Like half of the time that I could have spent in Dreams was on like Discord or on whatever, managing a team. If I don't have to do that, or if it's something that you know, I can pass off to somebody else, or they're specialized in it, that's fantastic. That's just another member of the team, and that's more ways that I can just do what I do, right?
Yeah.
And it's not like it's just me. We share the work quite, you know, I'm not the only one. Like we have one of our sculptors does the Twitter and YouTube, and I do the Reddit thing, and like we were sharing it all, but that's a sculptor out of sculpting, right? So
Sculpting
it's
tweets.
interesting. Yeah. And like I said, we want to do tutorials, but holy, that's a whole other thing.
Definitely. I guess, is there any more questions? I don't know if there's any more questions before we move into like the last question.
I did want to ask them, just because like combat is something I look for in Dreams. Like a really good combat is the most impressive thing you can make, in my opinion. So I wanted to ask like who the lead combat designer was, what their process is. But then, so that was Psycho, correct? Or a bunch of people, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, basically,
say
I think the concept
yes.
The concept was Rose originally, I believe, about having those weapons materialize. But Psycho and Deej are definitely like the masterminds behind how we might get that to work. So they can definitely answer that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's probably a two-part answer because you have the logic system and you have the animation side of it.
Yeah.
Deej has to talk about the logic system because I don't. That's well, animation-wise, it was kind of challenging. Yeah, to say the least, because you know you have a combat system, and there's so much that comes into play that you have to take into consideration when you do the animation. Because we have like we have light and heavy attack.
Yeah.
So that means like, and that means that we have like in total we have 8 complete combos, like a square, 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 triangle, square, triangle, and we have 8 in total, and like I think 14 animation separate. But that means that animation-wise, you have to make like the animations. They have to transition smoothly from the starting pose into the first. Okay, because you have the transition that needs to go smoothly, and then you either have a follow-up attack, or you don't have input, so you have to return to the starting position, right?
Yeah. So
But
basically,
as-
every like permutation of the combo is its own timeline. So like just square on its own is one, and triangle on its own is another. And inside
Yeah,
each
so-
timeline is like some logic that will trigger if you press the right button at like towards the end of the timeline, and that'll just keep
Yeah, that's
progressing through the
correct.
combo.
Yeah, but then you have to like the way you animate it for something like that is that you have to take into consideration that you need to have a good flow between the next attack and also the return position.
Mm-hmm.
And that means that you have to be able to, like, if you do one attack,
Yeah.
you have to be able to cut it off mid timeline and transition smoothly into the next.
Or if like
attack.
you pressed square square and then stopped, didn't do the finisher move, like that's
Yeah.
nice.
So cool.
Or if you like dodge,
Yeah, that was
mid
quite
attack.
challenging. But also
Yeah, I want to see a
because we
picture of
have,
that
like,
logic chip. Oh
we
my
have
god,
2
I'm sure it's
poses.
Oh baby,
insane.
should have seen the.
Is
We'll
it
show that
insane?
off.
I tried using variables and stuff because that's like what I'm more used to in my real job, and it looked scary. Like I'm sure, like I think I showed Poker some like what I've been working on for like a QTE prototype, and he's like, "Dude, just use timelines." And I'm like, "What?" I've never used timelines before because I don't know, first time using Dreams, so I'm like trying to,
Some good stuff.
play
Timeline.
around with all the
Yeah.
gadget, like the logic gadgets and all that. As soon as he like introduced me to the timelines, it just blew my mind. It was crazy, like what all you can do in it, or like a
They're magic.
effect with it.
It's great because me and Deej kind of complement each other as far as like he does really heavy math logic, like traditional programming, and I do like I have that Little Big Planet background, so I kind of know how their games sort of worked. And that day that we kind of realized that like he had set up the combo with variables and sort of triggers and that kind of stuff, which makes sense. Like anybody can kind of that understands logic can tell you how you gotta, you just have a timer basically in between. Like if you hit a button while the timer's ticking down, it'll jump to the next button. You can, as long as you hit an input while this timer's going down, you can do your next combo. It's pretty straightforward. But with timelines, it allows us to sort of like take that a depth deeper, where now we can incorporate animations into it. Our actual damage, like how we damage something, is actually we put the damage modifier right on the timeline. We put movers right on the timeline, because what that does is to cancel animations, like if you think like our walk cycle has a look to it, and Dreams is terrible when you overlap animations. So if your walk overlaps with your attack, it looks really bad. So we cancel our walk, and by canceling your walk, the character can't move or move forward during his animation. So we put movers on the timelines to sort of move you with the attack, so it gives you that feeling that you're pushing forward when actually it's just the animation doing that. So those little things to really clean up what we were doing were not possible without the timelines, I guess.
Yeah, my timelines are like miles long for the combat attacks.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. It's hard to explain without being as like technical as it is, but
That's
it
the good thing
works.
about Dreams is it doesn't feel technical. Like even the gadgets are fun colors.
Mhm.
Huh.
Yeah, that's true, I guess.
Yeah.
And
Sorry, yeah.
I was gonna say, you don't have to, like when you're picking up Dreams and going into it, like we are deep diving as far as we can go into these tools too. Like we are making everything from scratch, doing everything, at its base value. But like, I mean, you as an entry level person coming into Dreams, like don't nearly have to do, like our combo system is way too deep and takes up a significant amount of thermometer. And again, we talk about that compromise, like we are compromising a lot just to do these 3 cool weapon spawning in, 8 combo or 12, 14 animation thing. But it's kind of like that's what we chose to showcase. We're like, let's do a good gameplay. Well, gameplay is going to
And the
cost a big
frame rate
chunk.
was great too with all that.
Yes, at the end.
All things considered, yes.
Yeah.
The what?
So
all things considered, yes.
Yeah. So in the last week, like I said, we sort of had to be like, oh my God, we have to get this game out before the patch potentially breaks our game, right? We had to rush and get it out. And there was a point where the frame rate was so bad, the game would not allow the main character to spawn in when the golem was out and fighting you. So, and imagine
if you died mid-fight, nothing happens.
And yeah,
it just froze.
And that was a day before release. Just a bit.
Wow.
And then
That's crazy.
Like 2 hours before the patch was to drop, me and Deej are in the level just freaking out, trying to figure out what we need to remove from the level, or at least minimize and disappear off screen to allow the main character to spawn. And then wouldn't you know it, patch comes out, everything's fine, and they give you optimization tools to tell you exactly what the frame rate is doing.
Oh, good. The new test mode.
Yeah, and it was graphic detail, not gameplay thermo that was our problem, but the thermos weren't reading that, so yeah. And so we fixed it immediately after, and yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So frame rate's good now. Yeah.
Yeah. Or it's better. Yeah.
It's better now, yeah.
I guess like the ending question would be, I want to go around and just get your like last words for your fans of the game. I guess Poker can start, and then the rest of y'all.
Sure. Well, just keep doing what you're doing. Like I really enjoy watching people play it, especially on streams. Like there's nothing better than having someone's actual reaction live, and seeing how they play the game, because you'll play it a lot different than me. So not only that, but your feedback as well has just been instrumental, because it helps us sort of see where, like I said, how people play the game might be different from me, and trying to cater our game so that it's enjoyable for everybody and everybody has fun with it. It's a big deal. And also, the reception is what's keeping this project going forward. So if it wasn't for all like the likes and the excitement and the cool comments and responses, we wouldn't be doing this. We'd be doing something else. So yeah, greatly appreciated.
Probably the same, and it's really cool to see how people react to the demo and the feedback. I'm really happy with the feedback. So a lot of the feedback was about the animations, but it's all stuff that I agree with, and it's also fun to see like what Poker said. Like if you watch streams or people on YouTube uploading the videos, and you see the enjoyment that people have, the way they react when the golem spawns and they die by the golem, and it's hard to beat them, and then seeing them succeed, and it's really cool to see. And
Yeah, I'm not.
everybody good luck, because everybody can do it,
Yeah, I'm not actually used to having this much attention for something I've done. So for one, I'm incredibly humbled by all the positive feedback we've gotten from everyone who played the game. Like my feed, or what's it called, my notifications feed is just nothing but from the demo.
Nice.
And I read every single comment and see all the likes and get pumped up from that I don't think I check like every few hours or so, just to see how much people like the game or whatever. Yeah, I think Poker summed it up pretty well. All I can say is thank you very much.
Yeah.
We just hope we're gonna make something pretty awesome in the future.
Yeah, I mean, just piggybacking off of Poker and Psycho said, it's just really fun. That's most of the enjoyment of making this level just comes from watching other people play it, watching experiences from, and a lot of times watching other people play it just gives us more ideas to implement into the gameplay. I mean, you may play it a different way, and then we may implement the little quirk that you exploited in the game as an actual feature. You never know.
Yeah, there's always someone who's going to try to break your game.
Yeah.
We need that though.
Totally.
Soon, the color of the land will fade. I'd just like to say thanks to the Arcane Arts team for inviting me along. When they asked me to contribute, I think I recognized like a third of the names on the list, and people whose work I was really impressed by already, and it's great to be in such good company.
Oh, thanks, dude, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, and you too.
Cheers.
So with that being said, we're gonna move on to bets. So last week's bet was actually won by our guest Burger Man. So last week's bet was how many trophies or how many people would get the platinum trophy by the time that we press record on this week's podcast. And I think the number was 50, right?
It was 50, and he
50.
guessed 100.
Yeah,
That's
so
low.
right now
Platinum.
I haven't finished our stream even.
Not even 2% of everybody.
Yeah.
Oh.
So right now guests are up on us co-hosts. So this week's bet is how many likes will the top dream in the trending page have by next week's podcast. So I guess I'm gonna go first, and mine would probably be, I'm gonna say 75. I'm gonna get like a good like medium. What's your bet, bud?
I would probably say 314.
Ooh. MC?
I'll say 412.
Okay. And Josh?
50.
50. And then Arcane
That's
Arts
right.
as a team, what would y'all's number be?
Maybe just like
We gotta talk this one out.
we'll give. I was gonna say
One.
if one of you guys want to just shout out a number, go for it. I don't really care.
111.
Oh god.
11?
11.
111.
11.
11's good enough for me.
Okay.
Good number.
Wow.
11
Well,
likes.
11 for
If
Bill.
it's
Hey, you
anything
know?
under what 50?
Yeah. I mean, hey, you
Well,
know, it,
you
it
can
might
actually
happen.
they changed the rules because it's stupid. So you can go over and it still counts.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. This is
Yeah.
the Price is Right. Gotcha.
It's
No,
just
there's
whoever
yeah,
like is
bullshit.
like
You
the
can go over and I
closest.
hate it.
Whoever's the closest wins.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's bullshit.
Well, what you still mad about losing that one?
He's got a Price is Right tattoo.
I got priced as rated last time.
He
I wouldn't
did.
have won. I wouldn't have won, but it's the principle of the thing.
Well, I hope y'all enjoyed this week's podcast. Thank you so much, Arcane Arts, for like coming on to the podcast.
Well, thanks for having us, dude.
Yes,
You guys are
It's
awesome.
been a pleasure.
Glad to
it
be here.
was a pleasure to have y'all on and ask y'all all the questions, get so much more information about the game. As always, thank you for listening every single week. Thank you to all of our subscribers on our actual website itself. Thank you everybody who watches, downloads our podcast. It is appreciated to death. We're gonna go around the room and we're gonna say goodbye. So, Whooshy,
I always have to go first.
you're
Every time. Every
It's the
time.
lineup.
I'm never prepared. The lineup was MC first,
Oh, you're
but that's
right.
Should have
fine.
made a randomizer in Dreams.
It's
Yeah.
this is essentially a randomizer. So I mean I'll just
God.
say goodbye and yeah, so for me you can find me on YouTube, Reddit, Twitter, PlayStation, all under the same thing, Mr. Wooshi. And yeah, if you ever need to get in contact me, please do.
MC.
You guys can find me on Twitter, all that shit. I got a big
Where's this
game coming
podcast
out
going?
soon. It's gonna be great.
Silver Slump.
Silver
Josh.
Slump?
Humongous.
It's alright.
It's great.
Yeah,
Pretty bad.
Josh.
You
Josh
know, you
there?
can just
Okay.
yeah, you can find me on my Twitter, like I said last time, SSJJosh18.
Nice. And then you can find
Yep.
me on YouTube, ZeBraTurt-le, ZeBraTurt-le YouTube on Twitter. And yeah, that's me. Poker.
Yeah, you can find Poker Jer on Reddit as well as in Dreams and on the PSN. But yeah, Arcane Arts mainly, and that's on Twitter, YouTube, Dreams as well. I think the best way to get in contact with us if you want to do is Reddit or shoot a message on the PSN, and we'll see you.
Nice. Deej.
This will be easy for you guys because I basically have no social media right now other
Whoa.
than PSN.
Oh, nice.
Address.
Poker's saying he's bad at social
How do
media.
we
I
visit
have no
you?
social media, so yeah, you can just find me on PSN and Dreams at Deej Modine, DeejModin, and yeah,
You gotta get yourself out
That's
there,
me.
man.
Yep. Psycho.
Yeah, well, I'm on YouTube and Twitter, but it's easier to just you can find me in game if you look up Psycho Dad with an underscore in the middle. I have more info.
Nice. Tristan.
You guys can find me on PSN as Tristan Need. I'm more than open to friend requests. Always willing to help somebody, you know, if you're new to the game or need some help with the tools, if I'm not too neck deep and, you know, working on the game we're working on, I'll be glad to help. Yeah, just shoot a message.
And last but not least, Kelby Jones.
Keld Bjones is at twitch.tv/KeldBjones and is streaming Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. GMT to midnight or thereabouts.
Nice.
Can you just like
Well-
keep going? Because I want to hear more.
Yeah, just your voice.
Monday through
Just your
Friday
voice.
from 12 noon to 6 p.m. Central,
Yeah,
or
please read me the weather.
There's puddles everywhere.
oh no,
it's gonna rain.
Oh man. Well, thanks again for y'all coming on. And we will see y'all next week with Dream Channel Podcast. Bye, guys.
Bye.
See ya.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Take it easy.